Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's check it out and see what comes flying out of my mouth as I watch.
Our last message was like from a message in 2019 when I hung out with him and his ex. And then he DM'd me on Instagram. Yeah. And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And he said, so should we blow this wedding up or what?
This guy wants to be on TV.
So mad.
Like, that's the type of guy he is.
All right, so to catch you up, Dave and Lauren went to her spin class, their exercise class, and Dave, had a hard time with it. He said he felt because it was sort of like there were other things that they were supposed to do in coordination besides just cycling. And he said he felt very uncoordinated, which, is neither here nor there, but it is an example of him being able to say something that he lacks, which is a sign of maturity. So it's in contrast to some of the hypotheses that I've been throwing out there about him. And also, in the midst of him saying that, I didn't show this clip, but he says that he played college baseball for the University of Minnesota. And he says, I'm athletic, I'm normally coordinated, but I didn't feel coordinated here. So we could say that the first thing that he said about not being coordinated as an example of him being able to be humble. And then the second statement, either just being just a random thing that he said or a way for him to say how hard it was or something, or a way for him to humble brag or something. I just thought I'd point that out. It didn't look that way to me. It looked like he overall had the ability to be humble because, people, I think, and I've thrown it out there as a possibility of narcissistic personality. What I will say is that people who have full-blown narcissistic personality disorder would never be able to acknowledge in a scenario like this that they were uncoordinated. They would do everything in their power to avoid that. And the lengths that they will go through is just a sight to see. And even if they didn't have any pride in something, it's bizarre. When people have full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, even if no one expects them to be good at something, they still have to be not only good but superior. It's really weird. I mean, there's some variability depending on the context, but so that. And I, to be clear, I never diagnosed Dave with that. I said that some of the things he did were, if I were to treat someone like this, it would be something I would look into. So I just thought I'd say that. Now, the friends of Lauren are, I think, primed by Lauren to get into the topic of him being concerned about her potentially having a boyfriend going in. So I'm learning more and more, because I was confused earlier, that he is being told by his friends that the guy that she dated, because he he has a friend who knows the guy that Lauren dated just prior to coming into the pods, and he's being told, and the rumor is apparently spreading. It just makes me wonder who are Dave's friends, because the way that he is describing these people is not encouraging. But it could just be that they have one bad apple and they're all relatively understandable people. But anyway, so he's still wondering, and the friends are saying in a way that I am very much encouraged by, because so many friends on this show, like Hannah's friends, will just lay into people. But what the friends are saying is reasonable, right? They're like, let me reassure you, let me tell you the data. And that, they're not being insulting, and they are being balanced about this seemingly, and who knows, but I'm appreciating Lauren's friends. And what does that say about Lauren? Maybe something, maybe not, but to me it would, that her friends are like this. Because, if you look at Hannah's friend, that one friend in particular, it just was like, ugh. So the friends are laying it out, and they are seemingly coming from a place of, well, Dave is being told something and he doesn't know what to believe, and that's okay. We'll give him a lot of reasons to believe Lauren, but we're not going to attack him, at least right now. Who knows? But anyway, so the friends are saying that they would know if Lauren had a full-on boyfriend, because if Lauren had a full-on boyfriend, they would have been introduced to him. Now, maybe that's not true, but that's a good data point. And then they say that the guy in question, because that is a question, it's like, well, why is this guy walking around saying that he was a boyfriend of Lauren? And one thing I've been wondering about, which I couldn't know, but an hypothesis, is that he was just having wishful thinking. And that'll happen sometimes, right? Now, sometimes that's a result of him just having delusions, or him having resistance to being told, I'm not with you anymore, or something like that. Whether it's abusive or not, just like a fantasy world that he depends on. There's that possibility. Or as a product of Lauren not being clear, like she thought she broke up with him, but she was not super clear, which can happen sometimes in an overall conversation. Like, I don't know, obviously, what happened between Lauren and this guy, but sometimes the breaker-upper will go into the conversation and say, at some point, I'm breaking up with you, and I'd like to be friends. And then the breaker-upper, the dumper, will over time start to relax about how they word things, and then eventually the dumpee will say, well, so you're saying we could be friends? Well, so are you saying there's a chance between us maybe in the future? And the dumper is like, yeah, you never know. And in their heart, they're thinking, no, it's never. But who knows? The moon could fall out of the sky and you and I could date in the future. Who knows? And the dumpee receives that as an indication of that the door is ajar, that there is a chance, right? And reads into it as, oh, I know what she's saying. She's saying that I should continue to pine and hold out for that because there's a good chance, maybe next week, maybe tomorrow, And stuff like that can happen sometimes. And obviously that's a him problem, not a her problem. But I was just wondering about that. Anyway, so then we hear from the friends that the guy in question DM'd one of the friends out of the blue after a long time, because it sounds like the friends knew him independently of her dating him as well. It really just seems like Minneapolis is very much a small town when I know that it's not, but maybe people of a certain ilk. I know a lot of the folks worked in medicine or medical related fields, which also made me wonder if the recruiter was looking in those areas on Instagram, which would be weird. But anyway, so they are saying that he DM'd her and he said, how are we going to blow up this wedding? And so that could be a lot of different things. Now they're claiming the reason why he's doing not only the claiming that he was her boyfriend, but also he wants to blow up the wedding is because he wants to be on TV, and that's the sort of guy he is. And that's a possibility. And maybe there'll be more data here. But there's another possibility that he has a very common wishful thinking and denial of reality and is just like, no, we were meant together. I know that she broke up with me, but, like another possibility is they were never really going out to begin with, so she didn't feel like she had to be definitive in the breaking up. And it was at least ambiguous enough that he's reading into it, or, who knows? So there's a lot of possibilities, but we're hearing that the guy is a problem from two other people. So we have Lauren and these two friends that are, they're biased towards Lauren, but it sounds believable, doesn't it? And this guy, do we meet him I'm guessing we don't meet him on the show, but Mike, I'm guessing that people have found him online. Maybe when I look up the news stories, I'll come across it, but my goodness. Now, it's also possible that he's right and Lauren and the friends are wrong. Doesn't seem likely, though.
Dude, it's just him feeling sad about himself. Seriously.
I'm trying to, get there where it's like, I trust that. Because, that sounds very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The timeline of everything is kind of hard for me.
Okay, so on one hand, I think it's good that he is adjusting. He's like, that sounds really believable, and I'm trying to get there. And I'm thinking, well, try harder, buddy, because You have a lot to go off of to trust her. And what? You're going to trust this random dude over the word of your fiance and these friends? You know, there's a lot of data there. I think right now he is not speaking from the information that he's heard through the grapevine from this other guy, but is speaking from his general insecurity about being abandoned and betrayed. And because even before he had learned about what this guy's story was about having a boyfriend or about being her boyfriend going into the pods, he was just concerned about two guys in his circle who used to date her. And I think that was triggering him just on that fact alone. So I think he's speaking from that place. And it looks like Lauren might be kind of at her wit's end, which I totally get. It's like, how much do I have to tell you? And now my friends have given you some pretty damning information about this guy. At the very least, they're saying that he was never a boyfriend. And you still don't believe, you know, that would be really hurtful and really concerning of like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
What do you expect though? Like what would be an ideal timeline for you?
I mean, I don't know.
And I commend the friends. A lot of scenes like this play out very differently where the friend will go on the attack, which might be justified but isn't going to help. And that's a great question. Okay, well, what would help you get there? That would be a question I would ask potentially if I was in my right headspace about this scenario, if I were a therapist in this scenario, because that's important for him to articulate even to himself, because he might not have that defined, right? He might say, well, actually, I don't know what, maybe I'm just feeling insecure because this relationship is so new. Or he would have some articulation of that and she would say, oh, well, we can do that. I can help with that.
Yeah.
What do you expect though? Like what would be an ideal timeline for you?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would have been like seeing someone up until the weekend. So, I mean, that's the other thing I was told.
It was not at all. We were hanging out. He would have been at our engagement party.
That's what my friends have told me is that.
By the way, it's interesting because there are forms of therapy that have emerged out of Minnesota, very famous forms of therapy that are kind of in line with the way she was asking that question before. It was just kind of a little thing. But let's rewind that and hear what he said there, because I kind of got confused.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would have been like seeing someone up until the weekend. So, I mean, that's the other thing I was told.
It was not at all. We were hanging out. He would have been at our engagement.
Okay, so we're even getting more data, and who knows, but it sounds believable. And he is saying, I don't know, even if he wasn't a boyfriend, I don't know if I would be dating someone up until the weekend just before going to the pods. And I would say, well, it depends on the relationship. If it's a casual, temporary relationship, then what's the big deal? It's sort of like, you know, I've even gone as far as to say, like with Trevor, that there's other configurations other than someone who is, there's other stories that are true other than someone is trying to scam, right? So do we believe that Lauren is a complete fake and is just trying to, I mean, so I would ask that if I were Lauren. I'd be like, so I understand that you have a lot of possibilities and part of you believes me and part of you is wondering. But if that part of you that's wondering, what do you think I'm doing? Do you think I'm tricking you? Is that how it feels to you? Because I think that would be not as an attack, but as a clarification, because I'm wondering if he would say, no, I don't think that. I don't think you would do that. And then I would say, well, then what's the deal here? Because that's essentially what you are wondering and what you're accusing me of, that I'm scamming you or lying, like deceiving you, that I am involved with someone else or something. I don't understand. Because the other possibility is that you just happen to be dating someone going in the pods, which now then she says under her breath, that isn't true. I wasn't dating him up until the weekend before the pods. And then the friends are like, if she was, he would have been at my engagement party, which was the weekend before she went to the pods. So maybe he will concede here.
That's what my friends have told me, is that like they hung out like right away before she left.
Absolutely.
And I was like,
So up until this point, I've been assuming that this other guy has just been telling his friends, and the friends have been parroting and believing this other guy. But that kind of sounded like the friends witnessed it or something. I still am highly skeptical of these friends, and Lauren seem believable. And even if she was dating someone casually up until the point of leaving. Now, maybe maybe it comes out that, he shows receipts and says, no, we're involved. But someone, who knows, could be lies. But if we believe that this guy reached out to her and said, how are we going to blow up this wedding? Then that sounds like something else, right? Now, it could be wanting to be on TV, but it also could be him having a distortion that they are made for each other and that they are not broken up, because he doesn't want that to be true or something. I mean, at the very least, if you're I guess if you're the friends and you hear from a guy that would lead you to believe that this random woman who you never met, who's engaged to one of your friends, might have been deceiving, then yeah, it's going to concern you. So maybe the friends need to talk to these two.
Okay,
She was with us.
this is where my mind spirals, because I'm like, would she have ever told me about this had I not had a connection with it,
Have you been on dating apps before?
Before, yeah, but not recently.
Okay, I think he's still in that mindset, and I've already hypothesized that he has a paranoia around abandonment and betrayal, and that is in his bones because of his experiences, and he is looking for a reason as to why he's feeling that way, and he's latching on to this detail because it helps him to feel like there's a reason for his feelings. And if this wasn't a possibility, he would latch on to something else, because he's holding on for dear life. So yeah, it's now he did say, I'm spiraling. So I think, as usual with Dave, I think he exhibits at least 20% awareness of what likely is happening for him, but the rest of it he's not aware of. That word of spiraling, and he said some other thing, and he, when they laid out the data, he said, that sounds believable to me, and I want to believe it, but I have this thing inside of me, and so I think he's genuinely in this place, and he's genuinely expressing, and he could easily say, oh yeah, I believe you, even though he doesn't, right? That would be the easy road, but he's struggling, and I think it's illuminating his paranoia. I'm worried that, what am I worried about? I just don't think that he, in particular, is ready for his own life to make a decision about spending the rest of his life with someone. And I don't think that Lauren should be with someone that has yet to develop. Now, could they get married and have things work out as he continues to work on all these things that might need to be worked on? Yeah, they're not doomed, but so if things blow up, there's probably a lot of good that occurred, at least for him, because he has pushed himself to learn and experience a lot of new things. It'd be bad for Lauren, though, because I don't think she needs to have this kind of experience to grow. But maybe, I don't know. I wanted to also, I was remembering another hypothesis that I just want to briefly mention, that who knows, but there's a possibility that he chose Lauren instead of Molly, not because he's into Lauren necessarily, and not because he is knowing that he's not into Lauren, but he consciously thinks that he's into Lauren, but unconsciously he's choosing Lauren because he believes that she is more likely to be accepted by his sister, because the sister is, to him, painting this picture of the typical reality TV show woman who is someone who is obviously untrustworthy. And she, Lauren, and I think in the pods in particular, comes across as a very trustworthy I mean, not necessarily trustworthy, but on paper, she's a teacher, I think, in primary school. I'm forgetting exactly. Or she's in educational sales, but I think she works a lot with young kids. Anyway, the way that he describes her is that of a teacher and someone who is uptight and not a partier. Because, when she in the pods would reveal that I think she was talking about how she got drunk and got a tattoo or something like that, or just a tattoo. And he's like, oh, that's not how I saw you. And I think in contrast to Molly, he had Lauren in a much more, what do I say? I wanted to say prissy. That's the word that we would say in the 80s. A prim and proper woman that would be hard for the sister to claim is clearly a no good, low-born lady. I don't know why low-born. That's from Game of Thrones. Anyway, I hope you know what I mean. So, I don't know. It's a long shot. There's no data, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Have you flirted with somebody at a bar prior to going on the show?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're
gonna be
looking
that's gonna be just about as similar as to
serious as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, though, I'm trying to figure out all of that, what's true, what's not true.
I will say that the friends are working real hard and doing a lot of the things that I would have an impulse to do. They are trying to help him to see what Lauren did. They're coming at it from a lot of different angles. And they just did another one, and they even complimented, friends like, you're good looking. Of course, when you're in a bar, that you're going to have moments where there's going to be flirtation in it. That might have happened just before you went into the pods. That's what happened to Lauren. And then he says, well, yeah, I'm still just trying. Now, I guess another hypothesis that I've thrown out there before, that he's looking for a way to get out of this one way or the other, whether it's because he's not attracted to her, or this is just overwhelming, or he never intended on following through anyway. There's a possibility that happens, I think, on the show sometimes. So it obviously very much could be that, right? But I don't know. I guess we'll find out more information as we watch.
What,
It's okay.
I've cried. Every time we talk about this, I've cried. That's not new.
Yeah. And you would hope that Dave, especially in front of her friends, but regardless of that he would know that there's a chance that Lauren has been telling the truth from the very beginning, and that her pain right now, it might be completely unjustified. And you would at the very least care about that as a human being, two humans, but you would really care about that if this is the person you're going to marry. So I don't know what he's being told. It sounds like he's been told a lot of information, and maybe a lot of compelling information, and he's just not going to get into the details. Yeah, I guess that's the way it looks. It looks like he has been told, from his perspective, a lot of information that even though the friends are stating and Lauren are stating this other thing, that in his head he's like, oh, I've heard things that are very convincing to me, and I want to believe you, but I'm not going to get into some kind of argument about the details because I just don't want to do that. That's the way it kind of looks. Or he's looking for a way out.
Makes me worry about your friends.
My friends don't mean anything negative. They're just trying to make sure, I know all the facts and stuff, and
They don't know.
That's
the hardest part about this.
But that's what I mean, though. But they know this guy pretty well.
He's trying to stir up something that's completely fake and false.
Okay, so earlier I was wondering if the friends were actually witnesses, first account witnesses to Lauren's relationship with this other guy. And another thing to think about is that previous dating relationship was maybe just 2 weeks prior to this moment, maybe 3. So memories would be pretty fresh, so for everyone involved. But anyway, based on what Dave just said there, it sounds like his friends were not first account witnesses and are just taking this guy's word for it, which given what the friends are saying, doesn't seem advisable.
Sorry, like,
I hate seeing you cry.
I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm like so helpless in this. Like, I don't know what else like you need to like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm trying to block out all that other noise and just like, what do I think? You know, what does Dave think?
Yeah, that's interesting. Again, Dave, I think if I'm seeing it right, which I can't know, is emerging into some awareness, but has a long way to go and is being genuine in these moments. And it's not pretty because he has a long way to go for more self-awareness and being able to know who he is and what he wants. He's saying that he is struggling with rejecting what other people are wanting for him and what other people are telling him. And who knows what kind of dynamic he has with his friends. If it's anything like his dynamic that he has with his family, which it very well could be, because underfunctioners tend to suck in a lot of overfunctioners. I'm not hearing that necessarily, but I don't know. It kind of sounds that way, honestly, the way he's talking about it, because his friends are, at least from the vibe I'm getting, real forceful about it, right? If I'm understanding the situation right, they're hearing from another guy about Lauren, and then he is probably saying, well, that's not what I'm hearing. And if I was a friend of his, I'd be like, well, I don't know, this random guy, I tend to believe him, but what do I know? But it sounds like, and the way he describes like the rumors that are going around, it just sounds like, at least from his perspective, it's very invasive. So I don't know, but at the very least, it's possible that his whole life as a child in his family and then beyond, that he has never been allowed himself to think on his own. There's a lot of data in that column. And that in this moment, he's hearing things from both sides, and he truly just has no way, because he's never done this on his own, of evaluating this and making a choice. And he is talking about that. That's what he's saying. Now, I don't know. It could be that he is lying. It could be something else. But if you're raised in a family that doesn't, because he said a lot of things that indicate that his sister and his mom were controlling, and that his dad is an accommodator and overprotective. He said, I need to tell my dad that, hey, I'm 32. I should be allowed to do my own thing, and he's really protective of me. And that's so. And he's talked about his sister's. A lot of data along those lines of being controlled. And just because he's 32, and just because he might appear to be a grown man and someone who might be competent at his job or whatever, his life doesn't seem to be falling apart. That doesn't mean that emotionally, especially about emotional things, that he has never been allowed to do that. And he might have and people that emerging out of any high control relationship, whether it's a cult or an abusive relationship or a controlling family, the victims will have a long road ahead of them of determining how to make decisions for themselves while listening to other people. Because, a lot of decisions we make have to do with going into ourselves and figuring out, who am I, what do I want, how do I feel about this, especially like who to trust and who to marry, right? How do we know? And it's weird, right? And so we have to practice that as children and make mistakes, and also know that, there are times when we probably need to get advice from other people, and how do we sift through what other people are wanting for us and what other people are telling us. And if it disagrees with what's happening to me, what if I don't even know what's happening to me? What if I'm getting pressure from both sides? It could even be argued that he got engaged to Lauren because she started to pressure him a little, not like horribly, but that he reacts to that he reacts to someone telling him what to do. And in this moment, he's having friends that are telling him what to do, and Lauren and her friends are telling him what to do, and he truly has no way of navigating that. He just doesn't know what to do. His sister has her thoughts and that sort of thing. And so he truly is just lost. And the way that he approaches Lauren, it kind of has that look to it. Because I could imagine people watching this would be like, what is, this guy is, there's something wrong with him, and he's lying and playing with her. He's gaslighting her, or he is attacking her, or he is callously wanting to break up with her and not say yes to the altar because he's not attracted to her, and he can't get himself to say it, so he's using this as an excuse, and he's torturing her with this. And, you know, some of this we could just say based on, because it is hard on her, and he is not treating her well by definition, because who are you going to believe? Like your fiance or these two friends that are listening to this random guy? Like, you know, you don't have to completely believe your partner, but you have enough reason to at least 95% believe and wait for more information or something. Anyway, so I say all this because it's really, Dave is such an interesting case, and it's so nuanced, which all humans are, and it's rare to be in the edit. So I'm glad that we have this opportunity to explore this together.
It's like the best, like, mature way to like handle this. How do I really figure this out? So
I think I need to talk to the people that are like the biggest voices in your head right now. Like, I don't think anything's gonna happen.
Yeah, she's handling it really well, emotionally and practically, you know, getting her friends involved who can vouch for her and give data. And since that did, I think she thought this would work, which is reasonable. And since it's not, she's like, I think I need to talk to your friends because I need to know what they've heard so I can respond to that. I'm being accused of something. And that's also a good sign. If she were deceiving, she probably wouldn't want to talk to the friends, right? Because she would worry, oh, you know, they're going to come with like receipts, you know, texts and that sort of thing. So this is, you know, lending itself to credibility. Or even talk to this guy. That would be a wonderful scene that I would welcome, is that guy and her and Dave talking, right? Because I'm guessing that guy wouldn't want to do that because but I don't know, maybe Lauren is lying. It doesn't seem like it though.
For us, positively, until we do that.
I agree. So again, I want to believe everything we just talked about. Like, I really do.
I forget.
So I think if he was further down the road, I don't know, that he would have a quicker road and path to expressing warmth and love in this moment. Because there are things that he's saying, and there's a lot of eye contact, and there's a lot of openness and care, but he seems kind of shut down and restrained. And I don't know, but I think that if he were further down the road, he would show more warmth and say like, and I'm so sorry that you're going through, you know, something like that. But he doesn't. So I think that it is hard to watch this and have any sort of positive thoughts about him. And I want to be clear, I'm not painting a positive picture just to do so. I'm genuinely reacting from my own guess and curiosity about the situation. I don't have an agenda. Okay, so I don't know if I have to edit all that out because of the copyright of the song, but he said, I'm sorry, and reached out with his hand, which he has done in the past. He has shown that warmth, which is a good sign. It's less than what we would hope for, but more than I think what people might expect from him. All right, looks like a scene change, and it's almost midnight for me, so let's adjourn here. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.